that. Meanwhile, one clue in diagnosing COVID-19 has to do with our sense of smell.
Let's get to Dr. Marc Kerner. He's an ear, nose, and throat specialist with Cal West Head and Neck Surgical Institute. Thanks for joining us live right now via Skype. We're so curious to hear more about this theory. Can you explain why a loss of this sense might help doctors diagnose COVID? And is this something you've actually seen?
Good morning, ladies. Yes. Actually, it is something that we're now seeing in about 15% of patients that are presenting with COVID-19. And what it looks like is, which is not unusual at all, is that coronaviruses are a family of viruses that also include some viruses that cause the common cold. So they can affect the olfactory bulbs, which are the sense organs for smell that sit in the top of our nose. So we're seeing a new study out of South Korea where they reported 15% of their patients presented only with loss of smell, also out of Iran as well as China. So we're seeing it around the world.
That is interesting. Doctor, the nasal swabbing process for the testing, it's been described as uncomfortable. Now, can you tell us what they're doing and how far the swab has to go up? Is it mildly uncomfortable or does it hurt?
Okay, very, very good question. The swab actually has to go all the way to the back of the nose. That's called the nasopharynx. And it has to go back there because that's really where the virus replicates and where it lives in our body before it infects the lungs. That's how we think this happens. So you've got to get all the way back there with the swab to actually get a good sample of the virus. And then that's so that we can identify the virus.
You mentioned that 15% of cases from that South Korea study showing that the only symptom was a loss of sense of smell. It's allergy season right now here in Southern California, and everyone's got allergies. I've seen people blowing their nose, sneezing. So how are you to know what you're experiencing isn't allergies versus I might have coronavirus?
Very good question. Sometimes it's very hard to tell. So allergies typically will not have fever. They will not usually have cough unless they also have associated asthma with it. But they'll have a runny nose, which is not always typical for COVID. But as we're seeing in some of these other countries, and we've seen now a few cases where they're just presenting with that loss of smell and the runny nose.
Doctor, what are you seeing when you are treating patients with coronavirus that is striking you as particularly surprising?
Well, what we're seeing, too, is a sort of a wide range of symptom presentation. And so we're starting to test more people, even though they don't meet the standard criteria that the CDC are wanting us to use for testing. We're seeing people that have a prolonged cough for a month, that have been through multiple courses of antibiotics, are still coughing. They're still feeling fatigued. So those people probably need to be tested too. And as testing becomes more widespread and more available, we feel that we should be testing, more and more people.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Dr. Marc Kerner with Cal West Head and Neck Surgical Institute. Thank you for being with us this morning, explaining all of this. Every day we are learning a lot of different new aspects to this from experts like yourself. So we really appreciate your time this morning.
Great. Thank you both very much.
Okay. All right.